is about. We're going to sketch linear elements such as walls, beams, and pipes. For us, it's just walls. We're going to ease the placement of elements by incorporating drawing aids such as alignment lines, temporary dimensions, and snaps. You're going to love the alignment tool. We're going to touch on the alignment tool. We're going to place reference planes as temporary guidelines. We're going to use techniques to select and filter groups of elements. Modify elements including conceptual tab properties, temporary dimensions, and controls. Move, copy, rotate, and mirror elements to create an array of copies. Align, trim, and extend elements. We're going to split linear elements anywhere along their path. And some of these things don't happen until 2 more weeks, but we'll roll over them a little bit. Offset elements to create duplicates a specific distance away from the original. Okay, so our general sketching tools. And these are the ones on, not only do we have the architectural tools, but we also have access to the draw tools. And the draw tools are things that are very familiar to you from AutoCAD. Sometimes they have a thickness, sometimes they can be made into just a line, and you can adjust them on the green bar. There are the options. Here's where you can set your options for that kind of drawing. Your drawing aid is going to be the blue line that follows along with the dimensions, depending on how the dimension string, and it lets you know how big of a line you're making. And then, of course, your properties palettes, you can also adjust things before and afterwards. The nice thing is, if you make a mistake, you can always come back into the properties and bump up one of the constraints that you might need. General sketching tools, we have the line, rectangle, polygon. We have that chain clicked. If you keep the button on the chain clicked, that means it's going to keep drawing. It's like saying enter or return, but it's just going to keep drawing. You can set your offset. You can set how thick is this going to be. And right now it's drawing like it were a wall. It loves walls, so the default is always going to be a wall. You get not only the amount that you're extending, but you also get the degree that you're actually aiming this wall towards. Drawing aids, you get alignment lines. You automatically get the snaps. We like our snaps because everything pops into place. It is inherently, it's already kind of wanting to do your orthographic drawing, but it's smart enough to let go when you start fighting it, and it makes it into an angle. You get your temporary dimensions. You can always go in and edit these dimensions, or you can make the wall type in the dimensions as to how big you want it. Pay attention to the alignment line. When we were jumping around and we were putting the wall at the center or at the face, this lets you know where the wall is connecting. Okay, and snaps, remember all the different, there's the circle, all the geometrics. The midpoint is a triangle, and then your tangent points are circles. There are reference planes that you could use, like construction lines, that if you wanted to make a grid, you could do that. Those tools are up here. These are like construction lines, reference planes. So if you wanted to set up something and leave it there so that you hit the mark all the time, you could do that. This looks like a ceiling grid with a soffit above this conference center. Editing elements. Okay, so suppose you create an element like they're using this door. You can always change the door. You can always change the door, and you can change the thing with adjustments down here to the properties. Here is pick new host. Okay, if you had to move it onto to another wall or something, and you didn't want to lose it, you could pick another host. Selecting multiple elements. Press Control to add, press Shift to remove, and press Tab to cycle. Okay, so the competent drafter always makes use of your other opposite hand that usually lies very quiet. This is one of the ways where you could do is press Control Add, and you can keep adding things to it. Just like you want to erase or you want to select things, you could click, drag, and if I were on there, I just showed you how this is a lot like erasing in AutoCAD, creating a green or a blue screen. Just drag and cross, and everything that's selected gets picked up in that. Okay, keep going. We'll finish this out, and then we'll see if we have some examples of this crossing. And then filtering a selection set. I don't use a lot of filtering, so and filtering is usually a discussion that happens week 9. But if you choose a filter, you can choose the things that you want to edit because it keeps track of what's a wall. And so you could just tell it, this is a lot like the levels in AutoCAD. And so if you choose something, some things will be active and some things will not. Sketch and edit elements. So this is where you can take those tools to create the circle or just lines and then have them actually become architecture. So once you set this down, you can make it into something. We're so glad to have our old friends, the move, copy, and rotate, and those come up in the modified tools. We recognize the mirror, pick axis, and then you can mirror just like in AutoCAD. You can choose it, you can create the array and work with basic modified tools. So we'll take a look at those next. And let's take a look at them now. How many slides in this? Okay, let's finish the slideshow and then we'll drop down and look at those modified tools. Working with additional modified tools before, during, and after. This is the align tool. Let's see if we can recreate this. That's a good jump off point. Okay, so this is their example. You could give it a try before. So they didn't have a second object. The object was actually a wall that was set back. So maybe that caused a lot of problem reading the 2 different items. It didn't know whether to pull it over. Okay, so that was probably that problem. We split walls and lines. You can do that, right? With the split tool. If you make 2 different wall types, this could be where a chimney is going to take place and you're going to have more material. And maybe this is a wood frame. There's a way to split the walls and lines. That comes up in a week or so. We don't need that for this adventure. Trim to extend corner. This it works a little bit backwards from AutoCAD. It's more like advanced AutoCAD when we were working with splines. It works like that. So you could extend your lines, touch one, touch the other one, and then they can join, have that clean cut. You could trim and extend multiple lines if you want to. And then our friend, the offset tool, we can offset just like we would a line, give it the direction, choose offset, how far, and we would create that second line. And I'm pretty sure it'll allow us to say, do you want to erase the original or do you want to keep it? It'll probably say that. Working with additional tools, you can do your the alignment tool works here. The array tool, they're only using part of it, and also creating a center line. Okay, and that concludes this PowerPoint.